I was being operated on that day, and so I didn't know a whole lot until that night. And of course, nobody told me anything about anything happening at all. So, I mean, it was just a pretty rough night for me. I was in and out a lot, and they was keeping me sedated most of the time.
So, did you grow up on Daisy Hill? Has this always been your home?
Yes, yeah, lived here all my life. Just about, I was born and raised about a mile from here.
So, what is it about this community that makes it special?
People, all the people up here on Daisy Hill has always been really good people and good to each other. You know, about everybody gets along, and there's not a whole lot of conflict, and about everybody up here is family in one way or another.
So, you've been through some other tornadoes.
Yes, I was through the one in '74. At that time, I lived on Dan Gray Road, and it didn't hit me. I mean, as far as the tornado, had wind damage and stuff. And I had a horse that got hurt pretty bad. It picked it up and threw it down on a stick, and the stick stayed inside of it. But it lived. And but now there was, from what I understand about the hail this time, the hail was a lot bigger that time, because I was watching out the window of the house because it didn't have a basement, didn't have no place to go. And the horses kept running around the barn, and there was hail the size of softballs that was hitting them. And that's how I knew then, you know, that it was a tornado coming before I even heard the roar of it. And then the one that we had in, I forget the year, 2005, I believe. It come through Borden down there, and I was coming home from work, and I just turned off of Highway 60 onto Daisy Hill Road, and I was a supervisor for this company, so I had a radio in the truck, and this other supervisor called me and told me to take cover someplace. There was a tornado going through Borden, and you know, wind was getting real radical then. So I pulled in below the hill there across the tracks, and just about the time I got stopped there against that hill, a big poplar limb about 6 inches through fell directly in front of my truck. So I thought, well, this ain't a very good place to be. But I didn't have any idea which direction it was actually coming from. So I turned around and went back out on Highway 60 and started driving up the highway, and it was coming towards me. And I drove right into it. And I was sitting in the middle of it, and it kind of picked my truck up and just kind of twisted it around a little bit and set it back down. And as soon as them wheels hit the ground, I stomped it and shot right through the backside of it. But I'll never forget that. And all the stuff that was flying around in that tornado, I didn't have a scratch on my truck, no place. And that was really amazing to me, you know, because there was just, I mean, that was all you could see when you're sitting in the eye of it. All you see is debris flying. And I went through that backside and front side both and didn't get anything, you know, just amazing. So I've been through all three of them in one way or another.
So, tell me about this last one. You missed the whole thing. When did you begin to sense that something was wrong? And
I kind of thought it was before I got out of the hospital, because every time I'd mention going home, Lori would walk off. and wouldn't stay there. And I kind of sensed then that something was wrong because I knew there was, I'd heard people talking in the hospital, and I knew there was a lot of tornadoes that day. And then when we was coming home, and she told me we was going to my niece's house, stay a couple weeks. I knew that wasn't right, because I'd had surgeries before, and she always brought me home, and because she's in the medical profession too, so she knew how to take care of me. So I knew she wasn't taking me someplace for them to help her take care of me. And then she told me that it had hit our house. So we stayed up there for, I think, 3 weeks. And then we moved into our camper, and we stayed in it for about 3 or 4 months. And then they got us a room. One of the churches got us a room at a motel at Clarksville for
Catholic charity.
Yeah, it was Catholic Charities.
That was the motel for
Yeah,
8 weeks.
yeah, for 8 weeks, so we could get out that little thing. And it was a little bigger, even though it was a motel room, it was a little bit bigger, but still pretty confining. And so then we finally found a place for rent down here in Borden, and we moved there until,
Well, she helped us get it.
yeah, she had helped us get a trailer in Borden. And so we moved down there until they got this finished so we could move back home. But it's been a journey.
So what was it like seeing this for the first time and feeling the way you did? I can't imagine how difficult.
Devastating. I couldn't even imagine what we was going to do. I was figuring I had to really watch myself because the shape I was in, I knew that it wouldn't take much and I'd have a heart attack. So I had to try to stay calm about it. I was totally amazed that people would come to help us like that. She was talking about the kids in Grand Rapids. They actually paid $500 a piece to come down and help us. That paid for their way down here and their board and keep and everything. But they paid $500 a piece just to come help us clean up. And I would have never thought that any teenager would have done that. Because these kids was juniors and seniors in high school. And they was really amazing kids.
And
This is a picture of all of them that came. They sent us this after we went back home. They took pictures of us with them. But I wouldn't want to go through it again. If I had to go through it again, if I survived it, I don't believe I would build back again. I think I would call it quits next time on Daisy Hill. I don't know where I'd go or what I'd do, but I probably wouldn't come back again.
this has always been your home. So.
Yeah.
So, people looking back on this, like 50 years from now, what do you want them to know about this thing that happened and about Daisy Hill and about the whole thing?
I mean, other than that, Daisy Hill is a great place to live. Always has been, and probably always will be. I mean, Mother Nature can turn loose and tear you up probably any place you're at, you know. It's just that it seems like the air currents work out to where they come through here a little more frequent when it happens than other places. But I mean, it's also hit Louisville, and it's hit about every place around there within 30 or 40 miles. And so I don't think that if somebody 50 years from now wanted to live on Daisy Hill, there wouldn't be nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's probably as safe as any place else.
So, how has this whole going through all this changed you, or has it changed you as a person?
Yeah, I look at everything day by day. I live life day by day. And I appreciate people a lot more. I always have to a certain extent because I've worked in public my whole life. But not the extent that I do now. It's hard to imagine what people will do for you in a crisis and not think twice about it.
What do you want people to know who are out there thinking about how they should be prepared?
Everybody should have a safe place at their home. Even if it's like here, just a crawl space, anything. But in a bad storm, do not stay above ground because nobody is safe above ground. And people will even tell you that's got basements that doesn't necessarily mean that you're safe, because I know some people up here that it tried to pull right up out of their basements as it went through. So you need a safe place. That's the key.
Is there anything else that you'd like to say about anything?
No, I just, I appreciate people like you that want to get the story, and maybe it will help people in the future from dying.